Won't believe what this man was caught doing with a corpse. 46-year-old Randall Bird was caught doing inappropriate things to a corpse while he was working his shift as a security guard at the Banner University Medical Center in Phoenix. Randall's job was to bring deceased bodies to the hospital's morgue and slip them into the freezer. But during his shift, coworkers walked in on him and caught Randall inside the freezer with his zipper down, his uniform looking messy, and a body bag open.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook. You guys know the drills, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, man. Watching the videos entirely, commenting down below, and most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button. You guys, I help growing the seekers, so I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. We've been doing this for a minute, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
To the bathroom during the middle of the night. In 1997, a 7-year-old boy and his younger brother had a habit of using the bathroom during the middle of the night. One day, the younger brother said that he was going to start using the bathroom before bed because the past few nights he'd seen a ghost wearing stripes in the middle of the hallway. The older brother told his mom about the ghost, but she claimed that the younger brother was simply trying to scare him. 11 years later, the older boy's mother asked him if he remembered the time that the cops came to the door, but he had no idea what she was talking about. The mother then explained, "You were too young for me to tell you, but one night I woke up and heard noises coming from outside my window. I looked to my left and saw a man staring into my window. She called the cops and described him as a thin white male wearing a striped shirt. Her description matched that of a murderer who had recently escaped from prison. The police reported that he had been living in the house for weeks."
So the boys are right, man. Listen to your kids.
Urban legends caught on camera.
Okay.
We need to talk about this new way that our phones have been able to spy on us. So research recently revealed that our smartphones' ambient light sensors might be used into a camera to take photos of our surrounding areas at all times. And you guys know, we pretty much use our smartphones everywhere, so that's pretty concerning. We're constantly hearing of new sneaky ways our phones are being used to steal our data and information without us knowing. And I spend hours on my phone every day researching and editing, so clearly my privacy has been at risk. And this is why it's always recommended to have a security app installed on your phone. To be more safe and protect my privacy, I began using Malwarebytes, which completely protects me from anything sketchy like this. Malwarebytes catches and crushes tons of potential concerns even if you already have an antivirus, anti-malware, or other cybersecurity softwares installed. It also includes a VPN, which is unheard of. Malwarebytes offers web protection, call protection, ad blocking, text protection, and even identity theft protection. At the end of the day, it's important that we have an extra layer of protection on our phones because you all know we keep so much on these things. This app is available for download on iOS and Android, both offering a 7-day free trial, so stay safe and make sure devices are properly protected.
What do you guys think, man? You think you guys' phones are spying on you? I personally think so, man. I need to freaking get that Malwarebytes on my phone immediately, bro. Think about it. We're on our phone all day, man. You don't want nobody snooping through your personal data. Protect yourself, seekers. Where you walking to?
How different animals look when wet. Koala. Sloth.
Damn.
Snow monkey. lucky. How?
That's not no damn out no more.
Cat.
What the f?
Rabbit.
It like morph into something else.
Hamster. Dog. Squirrel.
Get a mohawk.
How long has it been since these things happened in the world? Firstly, believe it or not, but the last time an asteroid has impacted Earth was just 42 days ago, when a small asteroid was detected in Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean. Next, the last time all of humanity was together on Earth and not in space was 8,804 days ago. That's way longer than I expected. Now, the last time an earthquake happened, as I'm recording this, was just 15 minutes ago. It was small, but surprisingly, on average, there's around 55 earthquakes each day. Moving on, according to online resources, the last time a nuclear weapon was lost was 13,030 days ago. Finally, the last time a GTA game was released was 4,100 days ago, and yet still no GTA 6.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. While a cruise ship was tilting for more than 5 minutes, they played My Heart Will Go On from the movie Titanic. A 21-year-old woman from Texas was charged for attempting to sell her newborn on Facebook Marketplace. A man actually attempted to rob a bank with only a pillowcase over his head, forgetting to cut out the eye holes. A woman's driverless taxi was blocked by a man who was asking for her phone number. A boy that was abducted from California at age 6 has been found more than 70 years later. Goldfish changed its name to Chilean sea bass for 1 week to attract more adults. A couple in Australia actually came home to find a koala in their bed. A woman in New Orleans actually stole an ambulance that still had EMTs and a patient inside. A man who was declared brain dead woke up right before they started the surgery to donate his organs. After knocking on the wrong door in Ohio, an 80-year-old man was attacked by the resident with a machete, which then he pulled out nunchucks to defend himself.
Nobody
into
has
Bruce
been able
Lee.
to explain this creepy viral video. For the past 11 years, a man who runs a TikTok account by the name of Dude, My House is Haunted has been pretty confident that there has been some paranormal activity within his home. He claims that ever since his wife passed away, there have been some strange and unusual things going on. So eventually, he decided to leave cameras out and record what was happening and post it onto TikTok, which is the footage that you are about to see. In this video, you can see a chair seemingly moving on its own. It moves somewhat slowly until it suddenly is violently pulled into the corner by the kitchen. A mysterious, shadowy figure can be seen moving behind the chair, and then suddenly out of nowhere, the chair is thrown into the kitchen. Now, of course, we're not really sure what happened in this video, but I'm having a hard time coming up with an explanation for this one.
At it? Could be.
The man you just saw in that video jump into the water would never come back out alive. Identified only as Alexander online, this incident happened in Ukraine and was a part of the Epiphany ice bath celebrations. This is a tradition in countries like Russia, where Christians cut holes in ice and jump into icy cold rivers to cleanse themselves of sinful filth inside of blessed water. In 2022, 40-year-old lawyer Anna Uskova died from a similar incident. She jumped into the water, disappeared quickly into the darkness, and her body wasn't found. This man, Alexander, suffered a similar fate. He dug a hole in the ice using a chainsaw. He then asks his wife to film the video. He makes a cross on his chest, and then he jumps in. Sadly, even though they called for help right away and a rescue team was sent out, Alexander's body was lost under the ice in the icy water for over a day, but he was found the next day 70 feet away from the shore. He had plunged 13 feet below the ice and drowned in the cold waters. This is another just sad, tragic tale, and a horrific event that was sadly caught on camera.
bad this movie actually was. The horror classic The Shining released back in 1980 and since then has been one of the biggest horror movies of all time. But the amount of stuff that happened to the actors on set and the actual set is mind-blowing. I thought everybody knew this stuff, but for some reason it's resurfacing and everyone's going crazy. The most famous part of the film is what happened to actor Shelley Duvall. She literally went through hell whilst filming this movie. Everybody knows about the staircase scene. She was made to shoot 127 times. But as a result of all of these takes, her hands were shredded raw from holding the bat. Her voice was gone, her eyes went extremely puffy from crying so much, and she left in an absolute mess. She was also reportedly treated extremely unfairly behind the scenes. She was isolated, lines were cut, she was constantly being looked down upon, more things that I can't even say. The film's shooting was supposed to last 17 weeks, but turned into nearly a whole year. The area in the maze where the chase scene was set was basically filled with gas all day, so people were made to wear gas masks, reportedly. And one of the craziest things, near the end of production, a massive fire burned down many of the sets. And I'm sure most people know about the other stuff. But let me know which one you want next.
These
Hollywood
are
horror
terrifying
stories.
things that scientists said could happen in the future. Up first, scientists said in 13,000 years, the Earth could be on its reversal axis, meaning that summer would become winter, and winter would become summer, which would cause just absolute havoc to any living thing on Earth. Next up, about 1 million years in the future, Earth will be drowning in lava. Earth will undergo a supervolcanic eruption, which would be devastating. Glass will then no longer exist on Earth, and the only thing that will possibly be standing is Mount Rushmore. Finally, in 10,000 years, scientists say majority of land on Earth will be covered in water. This is because the sea level will rise and just overflow onto the land. This is extremely scary, but good thing we won't be alive for it.
It's flooding? You guys believe any of that?
Scariest mythical creatures caught on camera.
Japan, Tiki Tiki? Skinwalker. Chupacabra, isn't that like a shapeshifter? Shoot that. Seeing some videos about that.
You won't believe what this man was caught doing with a corpse. 46-year-old Randall Bird was caught doing inappropriate things to a corpse while he was working his shift as a security guard at the Banner University Medical Center in Phoenix. Randall's job was to bring deceased bodies to the hospital's morgue and slip them into the freezer. But during his shift, co-workers walked in on him and caught Randall inside the freezer with his zipper down, his uniform looking messy, and a body bag open. He was seen almost on top of the 79-year-old deceased woman, and when the workers walked in, he quickly tried to cover the body. The workers said that Randall looked so sweaty and nervous when they caught him, and his excuse was that he had a medical emergency and he almost passed out. His co-workers did not believe a single word and reported the incident. When Randall was interviewed by police a few days later, he basically just said the same story and said that he couldn't remember much of what happened. But not long after, investigators found his DNA on the woman's body, which proves that Randall was in fact doing what we all assumed. He was arrested and now faces multiple charges.
People are sick, man. Couldn't just let that woman rest in peace. Had to disturb her. You never know who's a weirdo, man. Or a sicko at that.
And sing this little song. Run, run, run,
Here's some tricks that give you power over your body. Part 2. If
If your arms ever fall asleep, all you have to do is just move your head around for a couple seconds and the feeling will go away. If you find it hard to swallow big pills, all you have to do is just lean your head forward when you're swallowing it. The pill should float to the back of your throat and be really easy to swallow. If you ever feel your body's gonna overheat from the scorching sun, just pour cold water over your wrists and your entire body should cool down. And when you're cutting onions, you can just move your tongue to the roof of your mouth to not cry.
Really? I need to try that when I'm cutting onions, man. I'm gonna use that. You learn it. Edit. You spot those easy.
The spirits in this house tried to lead me into a trap. This is one of the most haunted homes in Minnesota, the Warden's house in Stillwater. The spirits in this home are very active, especially if you ring this bell that was once owned by the minister pictured in the portrait above. During an investigation, somebody rang that bell and the portrait fell off of the wall, so of course we had to ring it. The history of this house is pretty interesting. It was lived in by 13 different wardens from a nearby prison, and multiple people have died inside of the home. But the most active part of this building is in the upstairs, specifically in the children's room. The legend of this house involves a woman named Gertrude. Gertrude gave birth to a child, but then shortly afterwards she died. And to this day, people report seeing her wandering the halls, especially upstairs, looking for her lost baby. There's a lot of creepy stuff in this house, like this outfit and actual locks of hair from the boy in the portrait that I just showed you. But the spookiest object is this doll. During our investigation, the tour guide actually had to go to the back room to bring this doll out. She told us that she keeps the doll in the very back of the house because it's so haunted. And in the past, she said the doll has typed out messages on people's phones. There's also this bed that a young man died in from tuberculosis. This is him in the portrait. So let me know, would you spend the night in this haunted house? Our full investigation from this place is on YouTube now.
People are freaking out after just realising what happened on the Annabelle film set. Bet you 100 you didn't know this. I'm pretty sure most of you know who this doll is and the film she is from. Doesn't matter if you've seen the film or not, you probably know the main premise of the story.
Yeah.
Now what most people know as well is that there is a real life Annabelle doll doesn't look anything like the one in the film. But while the shooting of this film was taking place, some pretty bad things actually happened on the set. This was reported in the filming of every single one of the Annabelle films. Reportedly, the doll would randomly move. There would be lights flickering, plates and glasses smashing, completely random, which the producer and actors on set said they thought was just a complete prank, but no one ever owned up and still hasn't. Yet Starfin, the producer, came forward, said in particular there was one day where they were shooting the demon for the first time. The demon walks out and enters into the green room again. The entire ceiling of glass light features fell down and smashed on his head. Many other actors, as I say, claiming the doll would move. But apparently in one scene the crew were laughing because the doll just appeared in front of them, thinking one of the actors moved it, but the actors were not there and no one moved the doll.
I just want to say,
Bad energy, man.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged.
This is one of the most disturbing and unexplainable autopsy reports
he lying?
I've ever seen. In 1988, in the Billings Reservoir in Sao Paulo, there was this urban legend of a body that showed up. It definitely happened, somebody did find it, however, the crime scene was pretty much closed within a day. Like, news reporters weren't talking about it, it wasn't in the press, so it became the stuff of legend. Then allegedly, in the mid-90s, somebody working in the government released photos and an autopsy report about that body. They are extremely graphic. Let me just explain to you how strange this corpse was. The body was found to have almost all of the skin surgically removed on the lower half of the face, specifically near the jaw. Eyes, eyelids, tongue, and one of the ears had also been surgically removed. Perfectly circular puncture wounds, like surgical holes in the body, which they determined the organs and some of the muscle had been sucked out of using some kind of device. To this day, there is really no verifiable explanation for what actually happened to this person. And for additional details on this, I will be covering it on the show.
Curtain number one.
Gotta be careful when you travel, man. We learn watching these videos, bro, how valuable organs are on the black market, man. They go for a lot of money.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like?
What was the coolest way someone has died? Well, let me introduce you to this dude. This is Ben Solomon, and he was an army dentist for the United States during World War II. Since nobody really needed a dentist in the army, and one of the frontline surgeons got injured, Ben volunteered to be a frontline surgeon in a battle against Japan. During that battle, Ben was treating wounded soldiers inside the medical tent when he suddenly saw 2 Japanese soldiers run inside. The dentist immediately grabbed his bayonet and managed to kill them, but he realized that the defensive line had fallen, and soon the medical tent would be swarmed with Japanese soldiers. Ben immediately told the other medics to evacuate the wounded American soldiers, but he himself stayed behind. When the American soldiers returned to recapture the area around 15 hours later, they found his dead body slumped over a machine gun. However, they also found the bodies of 98 dead Japanese soldiers piled in front of him. Even though he was a dentist with no combat experience, he managed to have one of the greatest last stands in history.
He said, I ain't going down without a fight. Commend him.
So you have no idea what's on them?
How beautiful is this?
Not the house that's haunted. It's your son.
Yeah, the scary movie seekers.
Amy, was that you?
I heard it. I heard something. I think there's something here.
You guys know I ain't into scary movies like that. These clips are as close as I'm gonna get to it.
She was upset that she missed her hair appointment, so she took her father's life because of it. On the morning of October 1st, 2021, 18-year-old Megan Amirowitz was busy preparing for her 18th birthday, which was going to take place at a hotel later that night. Since it was her 18th birthday, it was kind of a big deal for her, and she wanted to look her best, so she scheduled an appointment at a salon to get her hair done.
Okay.
As usual, her father, Conrad, was her chauffeur, and he was supposed to be taking her to the salon. Unfortunately for both of them, Conrad was a heavy drinker, and he had been drinking that early morning, so once he laid down on the couch, he ended up falling asleep. Megan tried her hardest to wake her father up, and then she realized that she was probably going to miss her appointment, and this made her blood boil. Instead of her calling an Uber to go to her destination, she decided to do something way different. Megan had grabbed a container of drain cleaner and poured it all over her father's body from head to toe. After that, then she doused him with water. Because of this combination, it caused a chemical reaction which burned away his skin. A short while later, one of Megan's friends arrived at the home. They took one look at Conrad and immediately called 911 in Oakland County, Michigan. Conrad was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. He told the medical staff that his daughter was responsible for this whole thing, but later he told investigators that he had no memory of what had happened. As Conrad was fighting for his life in the ICU, the detectives were busy gathering evidence. Once they had spoke with family members, Megan was arrested and charged. Not long after, Megan was released after posting bail. Although Conrad had survived the initial attack, he had to have both of his legs amputated, his kidneys shut down, and he had damage to his lungs. On March 6, 2022, after 3 days of being removed from life support, Conrad had passed away from his injuries. The whole time that Conrad was in the hospital, they would not let Megan go see her father for his safety, and she was very upset by it. About a week later, on March 11th, Megan's bail was rescinded and the charges against her were upgraded to murder. She was immediately taken into custody and she had to stay there until her trial in June of 2023. Although Conrad wasn't the biological father of Megan, he loved her so much she was the apple of his eye, and while he was laying in his deathbed, he still tried to protect her when the law came calling for her. But with all the evidence that investigators had, it pointed to Megan as the one who burned her father alive. On July 25th, 2023, Megan was found guilty of murder. The judge on the case believed that because of Megan's age, she didn't realize what she had done, so she only sentenced her a 1-year sentence.
What?
While on parole, she would have to undergo a mental health assessment every 6 months. Megan would also be fitted for a GPS tracking device, have a strict curfew of 9 p.m., and this probation period would end in July 2028. You made it towards the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down below if you agree with this sentencing, and if you have any requests for me, let me know down below as well.
The 3 kids while singing to them. Rachel Henry was a 22-year-old living in Oklahoma. She lost her mom when she was 18, which had a huge impact on her mental health. She got into substance abuse and eventually she lost her job. She then moved to Arizona with her 3 kids and lived at her aunt's house. But she was still addicted and broke. Her addiction was so bad, neighbors saw her walking around the street like a zombie. One night she was alone at the house playing with her 3 kids when all of a sudden she began suffocating her 2-year-old daughter with a pillow. Even her 3-year-old son was punching and kicking Rachel to try and get her to stop, but it was no use. Once her daughter stopped moving, she carried her to the bedroom and wrapped her in a blanket to make it look like she was sleeping. Now she started chasing her 3-year-old son around the house. Luckily, the aunt came home just as this was happening. You won't believe what Rachel told her aunt. Hit the plus for part 2. Disturbing things that you should never look up on Google. Part 2. Bianca Devins was a 17-year-old from New York known for posting e-girl content to her Instagram. In April 2019, one of her followers, 21-year-old Brandon Clark, DM'd her, sparking a romantic relationship between the two. A few months later, Bianca, Brandon, and another friend of theirs named Alex attended a concert together in the Bronx. Sometime during the concert, Brandon caught Bianca kissing Alex, which led to an argument on the car ride home. Brandon eventually began assaulting her and slicing her neck with a knife that he'd hid under his seat. He then got into Bianca's phone and posted several gruesome images of her corpse to her Instagram story and released a video of the murder as well. He then posted the following picture to her page, hinting that he was going to take his own life. However, police were notified before he could do so, and Brandon was taken into custody and sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Bianca Devins.
Disturbing facts that might ruin your day. There have been at least 2 fatal plane crashes due to wasps. We are all spending more than 6 hours a day on our phones, which is more than 25% of our entire existence. There are job applications out there that are only for collecting data. This is why large companies have positions that they never actually seem to hire. This wildlife painter from the 1800s would eat all of the birds that he painted. Bald eagles, owls, sparrows, robins, whooping cranes. 5,000 mail carriers are attacked by dogs every year. A 6-year-old's family thought he was too friendly with strangers, so they had a coworker that was a stranger to the boy hold him in a truck for 4 hours before lecturing him about stranger danger. Half of all plastic in the world has been created in the last 15 years. Crayons have a derivative of beef fat called stearic acid that is also what gives it its waxy smell. Loneliness can be as harmful to somebody's health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
I think the one that got to me the most is our screen time, man. 6 hours on the screen, he said that's 25% of our life. Just looking, staring at the screen, man. Everybody, man, I feel like needs to decrease their screen time. Go out, touch grass, bro. As the people would say, man. Tell me down below, man, if you guys know your average screen time.
3 places you should never swim. One of the rivers that you should never set foot in is Bubbly Creek, located in Chicago. In the 1900s, American meatpacking companies drained their waste into this creek, which caused really toxic fumes due to the decomposition of animal organs and blood. Not even a fish could survive in this creek. In Thailand, there's one area that causes concern, called the Sam Mason Hole. It's a really deep underwater cave, which causes bad visibility for whoever swims there. So unless you want to get lost in the sea, I don't recommend swimming there. These are the most scariest curses to use in real life, part 3. To perform the third curse, you have to go outside at midnight with a glass cup and make sure that nobody is around you. Then say the person's name you want to curse 10 times over and over again. Next, take the glass cup and throw it on the ground. When it shatters, count how many pieces it is in. Now the number that you get is the amount of days it will take for the person you curse to die. Now pick up every piece of glass, but be very careful. If you cut yourself with the glass while picking it up, the curse will be placed on you instead.
Stop, if you
I
have
never
a
play those
dog, you need
games.
to know this. When a dog lays on their back with their belly exposed, it means they trust you because that's a very vulnerable position. And when a dog leans against your leg, it's their way of hugging you and showing you love. Dogs get something called the zoomies, which makes them go crazy. And it only happens to dogs that are happy and healthy, so if your dog is doing this, then you're a good owner. When a dog tilts their head, they're curious and trying to figure out whatever it is they're looking at. And finally, dogs sneeze while play fighting to show that they don't want to hurt you. It's their way of saying it's just a joke. You can only follow if you learn something new.
The zoomies, man. My dogs get that all the time. So without knowing, we doing a good job.
Facts you didn't know, part 125. Salamo Aruch was a boxer of Jewish-Greek descent who had to literally fight for his life during the Holocaust. Before arriving at Auschwitz, he had an undefeated record of 24-0. Almost immediately after arriving at the camp, a Nazi commandant asked the new prisoners if there was any fighters or boxers among the group. He raised his hand and he was forced to fight right then and there to prove that he wasn't lying. Within minutes, he defeated his opponent and was immediately presented with another, which he also knocked out. In almost 2 years, he participated in over 200 fights. They would fight until somebody went down or they got sick of watching, but they wouldn't leave until they saw blood. This next one is a prime example as why you should never ride with your feet on the dashboard. Grain Keeley was the passenger of a car that skidded on black ice and careened into a wall in 2006. When the accident occurred, her feet were on the dashboard, causing her knees to slam into her face, breaking almost every bone. She was also left with 2 missing teeth and a brain leak. Following an infection, doctors were forced to remove her forehead for 2 years. Finally, in 2009, she was fitted with a ceramic forehead.
She was last seen at
Keep your feet off the deck.
in San Francisco on Halloween night. 18-year-old Mai Sai Bu had just started her first semester at Sac City College in Sacramento, California. On October 31st of this year, Mai and some of her friends took a little trip to San Francisco to go see Alan Walker, who was performing at the Bill Graham Civic Auditorium. Around 11 p.m., Mai left the show. She ended up calling an Uber, and that Uber picked her up in front of the venue. There is speculation that Mai and her boyfriend ended up getting into an argument, and that's the reason why she left, but none of this has been confirmed. While she was in her Uber, she had the Uber driver drop her off at the Golden Gate Bridge. At this point, it is now getting close to midnight, and this is the last time that anyone has seen her. Mai is roughly 110 pounds, 4'11", has black hair, brown eyes, and since it was Halloween night that day, she was wearing a pirate outfit. She had a long sleeve white dress on, black leggings, and black heels. Her family is asking for your help. If you have any kind of information on Mai, please contact the San Francisco Police Department. I'm just praying that she is able to reunite with her family again.
Gorillas are unintentionally the funniest animals on the planet. Let me explain. They share 98% of our DNA and also custody of the hatred of getting caught in the rain. Keep the wall hug, keep the face. That's perfect form. You've seen gorillas beat their chest, but have you heard it? Science says it's for intimidation. Hold time. Sounds like Bubble Buddy up in the blicky. There's another thing you hear around gorillas. They eat 30 to 40 pounds of roughage a day, which means gorillas are almost constantly ripping it. Gorillas can walk on two, and you know they sound like Squidward steps doing it. This is a western lowland gorilla, and its genus name is gorilla, and its species is also gorilla. And this particular gorilla is a subspecies of gorilla called gorilla, meaning its full scientific name is gorilla, gorilla, gorilla. Sound like a designer song. Fun fact, the name gorilla comes from an ancient Greek word meaning a tribe of hairy women. Gorillas are a walking tribe of intrusive thoughts. They don't think it, they just do it. Yeah, we're not that different. You ever lock in for too long and just start tweaking? Yeah, that 98 something serious. We twins for real. You know that's his girl, and you know that's not the first time. You want more? Okay, gorillas have been recorded singing and humming while eating. Okay, last one. Kobe the gorilla was famous for using sign language. She was also attracted to humans after being raised by them and was obsessed with the milk faucets, to the point where several women were apparently told to flash Coco. There was a lawsuit, but Coco never got charged, but it proves that gorillas are like us. They can multitask and look at two things at once.
Oh, Coco the gorilla, he was on timer, bro. Those women actually did it. That's
This is the
crazy.
disturbing truth behind ants. Okay, so did you know when ants die, a certain juice leaks out of their body, which tells the other ants to bury it. But sometimes those juices get on alive ants. And no matter how much they squirm and try and tell the other ants that they're not dead, the other ants just won't listen and bury it alive. So if you ever saw ants carrying each other, this is the reason why, and there's a very high chance that that ant is still alive and is about to get buried alive. Myths, you still believe?
The more you know, Seekers. I never even knew ants freaking secreted a liquid like that. Part of the ecosystem, I guess, man. But I wonder how many times, man, that juice got on a live ant, bro, and they accidentally were able to leave freaking friends or part of their, group alive. Makes you think, doesn't it?
About Canada Part 3. Canada is ruled by Britain. Canada is a parliamentary democracy and constitutional monarchy. However, the King of Britain is only a figurehead, but he really only fills ceremonial and symbolic roles as needed, and is represented by the Governor-General here in Canada. We have our own government with a Prime Minister and a Parliament that makes decisions like what laws we need to adhere to, and they are elected in similar to the US, except they have a president. People don't lock their doors in Canada. In his documentary Bowling for Columbine, Michael Moore made the bold statement that Canadians felt so safe they refused to lock their doors. His theory was that we were totally unafraid of crime. Well, while we are a safer country than the United States regarding assaults and homicides, we do have a lot of property and car theft. Actually, more than America. So yes, we lock our doors.
Kinda depends when you were born, but do you remember
I kinda knew that
anything
was
about this
cap.
movie? One thing. There's a reason that Return to Oz is considered to be one of the most disturbing films that Walt Disney Pictures ever put out. Basically, the premise is that Dorothy has come back from Oz, and everybody in her life believes that she is mentally ill. So like a perfectly good farm family, they submit her to an asylum. At this asylum, she is supposed to receive electroshock therapy. She then escapes the asylum with the help of this anonymous accomplice. They end up jumping into a nearby river to escape the building, but then they get washed away from each other. Dorothy then wakes up again in Oz. She has a talking chicken named Bellina, and it's like the entire place has been overrun with this gang called the Wheelers. They are so scary. Not only that, but she encounters Princess Mumbai, a headless woman with a collection of heads.
First games you should never play. Part 35, Gnome Gnome Come. This game will allow you to have any wish come true. You'll need 3 or more people to play this game, and you'll also need to start in a dark room. Tie one end of a thread to the leg of a chair or the leg of a table. Now one by one, have every player wrap a piece of candy to this thread. As each player ties their candy, make a wish. This can be anything, but do not say it out loud. Once everyone has made their wish and put their candy on the string, have everyone face away from the chair. And now have one player turn off the lights. Once this is all complete, you should all chant Gnome Gnome Come 3 times. Now wait and do not move. Listen carefully for any movement, rustling, or candy grabbers crinkling. If you do hear anything, the game is going as it should be. But do not turn around until this noise stops. Once it does stop, you can turn on the lights and go look at the candy. And if your candy has been unwrapped, bitten, or eaten entirely, your visitor has chosen to grant your wish.
These are the 9 deadliest animals to humans. You may think they're polar bears, lions, or even sharks, but they're not. Wait till you see these. Number 9, hippos. 500 human deaths per year. Number 8, elephants. 600 deaths per year. Number 7, saltwater crocodiles. 1,000 deaths per year. Number 6, roundworms. 2,500 deaths per year. Number 5, scorpions. 2,600 deaths per year. Number 4, assassin bugs. 10,000 deaths per year. Number 3, saw-scaled viper snakes. 138,000 deaths per year. Number 2, freshwater snails. 200,000 deaths per year. And finally, number 1, mosquitoes. 725,000 to 1 million deaths per year. We are afraid of the wrong creatures.
We really are. I didn't know mosquitoes had a freaking count that high. The top 3, man, definitely surprised me. And snails too. Well, they said freshwater or saltwater snails. That's why I stay out of the ocean, man. It's a scary place. But that mosquitoes joints.
A few months back, I went to a film festival and I watched a movie that I can't stop thinking about, and the release date is so soon. It's been in my top horror movies of 2024, and I have a little sneak peek, and I can't wait for you guys to see.
Behind that door.
Could you open the door? What do you want?
Trying to save her?
I saw you come out of the house just now. You went to the car to get something. You left this door open behind you. Somebody went inside. What? I saw you go to your car and you left the door open. Somebody slipped inside. They're in there now. I didn't see anyone. I know that. Your back was turned.
Oh crap.
What are you doing standing outside my house? Would you just open the door? I'm trying to help you.
Would you open it? I don't know.
The fiancée of the ice hockey star who died from a freak accident has paid tribute to her sweet angel. Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson's throat was cut by an opponent's skate blade when they collided during a match against the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday. The 29-year-old briefly stood up, bleeding profusely onto the ice before collapsing again. He received immediate medical attention with CPR performed on the ice and was taken to hospital but could not be saved. His girlfriend, who he proposed to in the summer, has paid tribute on Instagram saying, "Sweet, sweet angel, I'll miss you forever and love you always."
If you could rack your brain right now to ask yourself what is the most disturbing Disney Channel original movie, which one would you pick? If you chose Don't Look Under the Bed, you're correct, because the movie actually almost never even made it to television. Any of the sequences that did eventually make the cut were considered so disturbing, this is actually one of the only Disney Channel original movies that has a TV PG rating. Anne Sweeney, who was the president of Disney Channel at the time, as well as countless other executives, had a lot of issues with this film. And even to this day, there are still some sequences, some scenes that have never seen the light of day. They were not going to be included in the movie. And I think in part, the credit should go to the director, who was really trying to creatively push the boundaries of what could be included in children's horror. Even just beyond the disturbing imagery, they explored some pretty dark themes in a children's movie, starting to play with psychological horror when Frances can see things that everybody else thinks she's crazy for. In 2006, Disney Channel had to pull it from the October catalog. It will not be on Disney Channel again.
I stopped the series at part 17
I need to check it out.
1 year ago, but now I'm bringing it back. These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Number 1. There are more bones in gummy worms than real worms. Number 2. When you kiss a person in the mouth, you exchange over 80 million types of bacteria. Number 3. In July 2020 in Panama, 7 people were found dead after an exorcism. The demons that possessed these 7 people were not happy with the exorcist, so they took the lives of these 7 people before the job was done. Number 4. 2 days ago, the state of Texas declared war with the United States. Number 5. It is physically possible to be so constipated that your stool will back all the way up your digestive tract and you will vomit your poop. Number 6. Pandas' diet is mostly vegetarian, but they will eat meat. The reason they don't is because they are too lazy to hunt down other creatures. Number 7. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body. Once your body's immune system discovers you have eyes, it will attack and inflame the blood vessels in the back of your eyes until you completely lose your vision. Number 8. The average person eats 5 grams of microplastics in a week. That's about the exact amount of plastic on a credit card. Yeah.
Who were caught cheating, part 2. In 1994, on the day before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, title holder Nancy Kerrigan was filmed finishing a practice skate, but just seconds later she was screaming in pain on the ground after a man with a police baton attacked her. The attack severely bruised her knee, which made her unable to compete. Her longtime rival Tonya Harding went on to take first place and was selected alongside her for that year's Winter Olympic skating team. However, police soon discovered that the attack on Kerrigan had been ordered by a bounty hunter. In a shocking twist of events, Tonya Harding's ex-husband Jeff Gillooly and her once bodyguard Sean Eckhart were labeled as the culprits. They'd hired the bounty hunter to break Kerrigan's leg, removing Harding's competition in the upcoming events. Although she claimed she had no part in the conspiracy, Harding later admitted that she knew her ex-husband had been involved, but she'd failed to report it. But karma had the last laugh. At the games, a malfunction with her skates saw Tonya placed down in 8th, while Kerrigan managed a silver in 2nd.
That goes to show you, bro. That's proof of karma right there, man. She knew what was gonna happen, man. To take out the competition, she ain't saying nothing about it, and she still got 8th place. She didn't even get top 1 or 2, man, for the gold or silver medal. That's karma, seekers, right there, in 4K.
Here are some things that 99% of humans can't do. Are you part of the 1%? The ability to raise eyebrows is an evolutionary trait that all of us can do. While pretty much everybody can raise their eyebrows, only 1% of the world can raise one eyebrow at once. Did you know that 99% of the world can't lick their elbow? So you probably can't do this, and I bet you're probably doing it right now. However, for some people, this task is actually really easy, which is due to being born with really flexible bodies or practicing a lot of gymnastics. Only 2% of people can wiggle their ears. Unlike other face muscles, ear muscles are operated by a completely different part of your brain. If you try to use your face muscles to move your ears, it's never gonna work. So you're gonna have to raise your eyebrows and smile widely to lift your ears. And if you're lucky, you might be one of the few people that can move them.
I can't. Seekers, can you guys do any of those things? I think I can do the elbow joint. I think actually I can. But I can't do the ear joint. That's completely different. Or that one eyebrow, what the Rock be doing. I cannot do that. Tell me down below if you can do that, man. I'm actually curious if any of you guys can do that.
These people have died. Part 5. In 2000, Burger King managers Lisa Goetz and Lori Thomas staged a fake robbery of the restaurant where Lori took the money and Lisa acted as the victim, bound with duct tape and trapped in the walk-in cooler. Unfortunately, police didn't arrive until the next morning where they found Lisa, who died of hypothermia. According to investigators, Lisa could have easily freed herself from her bindings and escaped the unlocked refrigerator as she had no signs of forced restraint and the duct tape was loose. In 1998, during a heated marital dispute, a 25-year-old man picked up his 20-year-old wife and threw her off their 8th floor apartment balcony. Somehow the woman became entangled in the power lines below, and in what may have been an effort to save her or maybe finish her off, the man leapt from the balcony aiming for the wires. He missed the power lines completely and plunged to his death, and the woman managed to swing over to a nearby balcony and was saved.
That was an insane case, especially the last one. She tried to aim for the power lines and completely missed, but she made it?
This man was frozen in ice for 3 days, and you won't believe what happened to him. His name is David Blaine, and he went inside a block of ice for 3 days with no food and only one tube supplying him with air and water. At the 61-hour mark, he was beginning to lose consciousness, but he couldn't go to sleep because if he leaned on the ice, he would have gotten severe frostbite. Unfortunately, this led him to have extreme hallucinations. Near the end of the stunt, he called his girlfriend over, but she was immediately pulled away. This made him think that he was dead and that she couldn't see him. After 63 hours, they decided to cut him out, but they said he was so delusional he tried to grab the chainsaw. He finally made it out, but he was so physically and emotionally tired that he couldn't walk or talk. David was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, and after 1 month of therapy, he finally made a full recovery.
If you're watching horror movies and feel like something's watching you, this could be why. A family from Ecuador enjoyed watching horror movies together in their living room. But one night, during their late horror night session, they began began to feel a strange presence with them in the living room. Scared, thinking they might have attracted an evil entity into their home, they placed a camera in their living room, and this is what they captured.
Ahí yo fue que ya comencé a sentirme mal. ¿Por qué? Porque mira, a ver, eso yo se lo vi claramente así de reojo. Mira, ¿sí viste? Eso sí.
One of the family members is startled as a dark figure can be seen moving behind him. After this, objects began to fly across the room.
La puerta ahí como la tenía trancada. No mira, sí, ahí pasa.
And they just get out of there. The family will later call in a priest to bless the house, but the hauntings persist.
This is the stuff of nightmares that's like straight out of the
Is that legit, Seekers?
It has a lot to do with the dark web. Sometime around 2004, when people were just starting to explore what would later be known as the dark web, they would talk about a woman that would show up on your screen, except it wasn't a woman. It was a distorted mask of a woman's face. And what this person would do is that they would recite your full name and your address, and then say, "I'm coming for you." And then the whole screen would go dark.
This is what they mean when they say only 5% of the ocean has been explored. What kind of fish is this?
Did that fish just eat a rock? I mean, like I said, it's true. We only explore like 5% of the ocean, so there could be some species down there that we haven't even seen before. Have you seen that fish before, man? I sure haven't. The more you know. That's scary.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you. There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash.
Why? Is that a hyena or something?
Yeah, the hyena's a girl. So many may know, female hyenas have a fake meat hose that looks almost identical to the real thing. And for those that don't, nah, actually, that's the lead. They have a pseudo-phallus that they give birth from, and yes, it's as traumatizing as you think, and yes, the very process of birth can end up doing the exact opposite for everyone involved. But low-key, having a built-in flesh strap might explain why hyenas are exactly the way they are. So for most animals, life pretty much comes down to the 3 F's: food, fights, and... So a lot of times when male animals run a fade, it's for the goal of female validation. But hyenas having a female 5th leg means they have a natural crotch block. It's basically anti-mating hardware that means the no-pants dance can only happen if she allows it. So unlike things like lions or bears, there's really no reason for male hyenas to want smoke with each other when getting it in is already RNG. Pun intended. And it's believed having coitus completely out of their control is why male hyenas are way less aggressive and even have less testosterone than the females. Meanwhile, the females are more on go than a green light. And why hyena sisters are way more likely to put each other on a t-shirt. And with them being pack animals with a whole social ladder, the Walking Comedy Club had to become more aggressive just to give their cubs a chance at life. Matter of fact, that's probably why they have more testosterone. So yeah, moral of this video. Lion King did hyenas every type of dirty, but they got it right when they had Shanti giving orders. And now you know why.
This is why you should be scared of that one person you're talking to online that you're about to meet in real life. Blanca Arellano, a 51-year-old Mexican woman, was looking for love. She met a Peruvian man named Juan Villafuerte on an online gaming app. And on the last day of October, she traveled 3,000 miles to Lima, Peru to meet him. She thought that he could be the one. On November 7th, while in the beach city of Huacho, where Villafuerte lived, Blanca spoke to her niece on the phone and told her that the relationship was going well and that she was in love. Then Then she went silent. Her niece suspected something was wrong after not being able to get into contact with her. She called for help on Twitter and reached out to Juan Villafuerte, who said that Blanca got bored of him and left to find a plane ticket back to Mexico, as he could not provide the life she wanted. But the truth was much, much darker. On November 10th, Peruvian authorities found a severed finger on the beach of Huacho. Then in the following days, they found a faceless head, and then an arm, and then a torso with no organs inside of it. They eventually identified Blanca Arellano via her family by the ring on her finger. Juan Villafuerte was arrested on charges of human organs trafficking. Authorities found traces of blood all over his apartment, and he reportedly posted TikTok videos of human organs days after Blanca's disappearance. Creepy last words people said right before dying. A nursing assistant said that she was in a long-term patient's room changing the sheets. The patient would periodically look behind her. She asked the patient what was wrong, and the patient looked in her eyes and asked, "He doesn't scare you?" The nurse was confused, and she asked her who she was referring to, and the patient said, "The big man in the top hat. He's standing right behind you." She said that she doesn't think that she has ever finished changing a bed sheet and repositioning a patient as fast as she did that night. She refused to go into that room by herself for the rest of her shift. Linda Johnson, a former nurse, said that she had a gentleman in his late 90s who was dying. He started screaming blood-curdling screams, so they raced to his room. He was screaming that the room was on fire and that there was a man with large horns peering out of the flames. He kept pointing to one wall, saying that it was on fire. The nurses turned on the lights and tried to calm and console him, but to no avail. Instead of being consoled, Linda said that he told her that she was on fire and that he could see her being consumed by flames. Linda said that it was the creepiest thing that has ever happened to her. The doctor was notified, but nothing relieved the patient's terrifying hallucinations. He died soon after. Cynthia said that several years ago, her 20-year-old daughter had brain surgery. She got an infection of the spinal fluid. She was there in grave condition for a month. Cynthia never left her daughter's side. One night, the worst night at this point, she asked who the man in black was that was standing by the bathroom, and why Cynthia's deceased brother, the girl's uncle, was standing next to her at the side of the bed. Cynthia immediately got the chills. She told her daughter, "They're not here." Then she told her brother and the man in the black, whom she couldn't see, "You both have to go now. She's not ready to go, and I'm not ready to let her go." After that night, her daughter started to get better and better each day. Today, her daughter is doing well.
September 25th, 1981, something very strange took place up in the Smoky Mountains. This is a picture of Pauline Melton, and it would end up being one of the last known photos of her. Because while Pauline was up there, she was with two hiking companions. They described that she, all of a sudden, without explanation, just started to rapidly speed up. They even described that they called out to her. They were asking, "Pauline, where are you going? Pauline." She never answered. She never looked back until she crossed over a hill. Since that exact moment, Pauline was never seen again. And to this day, they still have no idea where she went and why she did it.
Isn't that crazy, Seekers, man? You could go in the woods and just drop off the face of the earth. Man, that's how I'm going, man. You gotta go with a big group, bro. I don't want nothing to happen.
Donald Trump was shot this afternoon at a political rally in Pennsylvania. As you can see right here, this was moments after the shots were fired. Now, we don't have all the information right now, but obviously he is still alive. And the footage is absolutely disturbing. In the clip, you can hear multiple gunshots ring out. The audience starts screaming. Trump drops to the ground. He is covered quickly by the Secret Service agents. In the broadcast footage, he grasps his ear, so he may have been grazed by a bullet up there. Like I said, we don't have all the information. This is a developing story, but this isn't the first time that someone has tried to assassinate a president or former president. In 1912, an assassin attempted to end the life of Teddy Roosevelt as he was on the campaign trail. This man was former salon keeper John Schrank, and he would later claim that William McKinley's ghost had visited him in a dream and told him to avenge him for his assassination. Teddy Roosevelt, after being shot, continued with his speech, even as he profusely bled through the front of his shirt. And while he didn't end up getting elected that year, doctors at the time said that it was safer for him to keep the bullet inside his body than attempt to remove it. So for the rest of his life, he carried on with a bullet lodged in his chest. Then in 1981, someone attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan. This photo was actually taken just moments before the shots were fired. 3 people were injured in this attack, but nobody died. And obviously, as you guys probably already know, Ronald Reagan survived. He was in critical condition when he was rushed to the hospital, but nobody ended up passing away from this assassination attempt. The guy who did it was named John Hinckley Jr., and weirdly enough, he had been obsessed with actress Jodie Foster after watching the film Taxi Driver, and he claimed that he had carried out the assassination attempt in an attempt to impress her. And interestingly enough, he just signed a record deal last year and will be releasing a folk album soon.
Really?
What's going on with Aubrey Wyatt?
The hell?
Aubrey was a 13-year-old girl who went to Ocean Springs Middle School in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. In September of 2023, Aubrey took her own life after being bullied by a group of 4 girls. Even after Aubrey's death, those bullies continued to harass her and bully her. Aubrey's mom, Heather, ran to social media as an outlet to talk about Aubrey and just to try to cope with everything that went on. On her account, she would talk about bullying and ultimately what it could lead up to. Although Heather did not name or threaten those 4 girls, their names and personal information ended up being shared by others. Heather was the subject of 2 separate lawsuits brought by the parents of those girls. The Jackson County judge ordered Heather to take down all of her social media accounts so she could no longer talk about Aubrey's case, and they did this so that they could protect the minors in this case. Shortly after that, Heather started a GoFundMe page to raise money to help with legal costs to be allowed to keep fighting online on Aubrey's behalf. I truly hope that Aubrey gets some kind of justice in the end.
The first person to live forever is already alive, at least according to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who explains it with irrefutable logic. It starts with someone that was born in like the past year or so. Our test subject, call him Johnny Boy. The reason Johnny, or any of us, age is because our cells are constantly dividing, making fresh copies of our DNA in each new cell. Our DNA is packed into chromosomes, and since DNA duplication isn't perfect, the tips of these chromosomes are slightly trimmed on every replication. Sort of like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The quality slightly degrades each time. To protect against this, our chromosomes have something called telomeres on their tips, which essentially contain junk DNA data that we can afford to lose. But even these telomeres are finite. They get shorter and shorter on every duplication until at some point they're fully gone. Then the cell stops dividing, gradually loses its function and withers away. The more this happens in our cells, the more we age, and our bodies experience age-related characteristics. Scientists like David Sinclair are currently getting really close to reversing this process in human cells. He's developed what he refers to a chemical cocktail that can reprogram the way our cells are read to sort of fill in the blanks from these imperfections in our DNA replication. The science behind it is quite extensive, and he ran tests on lab mice that were incredibly successful. Having mice born at the same time with one looking visibly older than the other says that human trials are planned to start within the decade, and it's just a matter of time before we start seeing success in that. So where does this live forever come from? Obviously, the first version of this cocktail won't be perfect and may extend human life to, let's say, 150 years. Now remember our test subject, Johnny Boy? In 20 years, he'll be 20, at which time we're almost guaranteed to be undergoing human trials at the very least, if not already publicly available. This life potion is given to Johnny so that he can live until 150. The claim states that by the time Johnny is 40, we're almost guaranteed to make enough advancement to double the anti-aging cocktail so that now he can live till 300. 20 years later, when he's 60, the potion will be approved so that he can live till 500 years old. By the time he's 80, he can live till 1,000. These numbers are all arbitrary, but the general principle still holds up. Even if we start seeing diminishing returns in the improvements of this concoction, Johnny has already hacked his way into living forever. He can already live till 1,000 at this point, so even if it takes 100 more years to improving the medicine to living till, say, 2,000 years old, he'll live until then and take it, constantly outliving the improvement curve of anti-aging until they've cracked the code to the million-year potion, at which point Johnny Boy is essentially immortal, which means one of 2 things absolutely must happen in our future. 1, we colonize other planets, or 2, we stop having babies. If people are living forever and no longer dying, our population will continue to grow, and just grow and grow. At which point we either need more space to put people, like other planets, or we gotta stop making people. So unless we want to sterilize the entire human race, living forever probably isn't a good idea until we figure this multi-planetary business out.
Things that show...
What do you guys think about that theory, Seekers? The age guy, but it just kept going and going and going, man. They're working on stuff, man, to make us not age no more. We live forever, trying to make us immortal. What do you guys think about that?
Show off the power of time. Part 7. Disney World has had about 58 million visitors per year since it opened in 1971. everyone. And during those visits, guests would often have to wait in lines that were organized by rope walkways. And if you look closely at the rope clips, you can see that they've started to wear down. Some have even created a new groove. And no, I'm not talking about Cusco. Next, watching waves at the shoreline might seem like a calming activity, but not if you're a resident of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Over time, the waves wore the shoreline and even took a huge chunk out of it. Now, this would usually take several years for the effects to be seen, but in the case of Green Bay, this all happened within the span of an hour.
Wow, what the hell? The power of
And
water.
lastly, we're told that tattoos are permanent, but this may not be the case. Because this guy got a tattoo of a flower on the palm of his hand. And in just 2.5 months, the tattoo mostly vanished. This is mainly because our palms experience a lot of friction from how often we rub our hands. So if you want a tattoo, you might want to avoid your palm.
Bro,
He got finesse.
most wholesome animal on earth. Brother, if you wanted a manatee video, you could have just asked. Did you know when alligators and manatees cross paths underwater, the alligators seem to let them pass? A prehistoric sledgehammer, and they give manatees the right of way. That's how you know you got motion in the ocean. There's never been a record of a manatee attacking a human, and it might be because it's literally physically impossible. One is because their teeth are way in their mouths, and their mold is designed for grinding grass, not biting. You know, if you ever get bit by a manatee, that means you were in his throat, and if you were, that means this law was for you. Some things don't need exploring Columbus. Also, some scientists think that because adult manatees have no predators, and because they don't have to fight each other over who eats what grass, there's a lot of talk that the sea squishy is mentally incapable of feeling aggression. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I will say 3 things. 1, they don't just eat grass, they'll go pescatarian if the opportunity presents itself. 2, as fast as you think manatees are, they're faster. It might not be with malicious intent, but 1,200 pounds of anything moving like that is definitely cause to pause. And 3, last year a popular manatee named Hugh, past tense, after essentially explicit interaction with a bigger male named Buffett, tore him open like a reverse butt birth. The catch: Buffett was his brother. Yeah, that's pretty bad, but did you know manatees are also closely related to my favorite animal? They even got the same nail tech. So yeah, I'm a little biased, so I'm gonna let it slide. Especially since I'm pretty sure it wasn't aggression, but just a dangerous lack of awareness. But yeah, God bless this water blimp, and R.I.P. Hugh.
R.I.P. Hugh, bro. I don't know manatees were related to like elephants. I saw that. We learn new things every day, Seekers,
Don't
man.
freak out, but we are right now entering the beginning of the end of the universe. 95% of all the stars that will ever form have already formed. And it gets even crazier than that. There is a sphere around us called the Hubble sphere. Beyond this point, everything is moving away from us faster than the speed of light due to the expansion of space itself. And how many of the galaxies do you think are outside of this sphere? 94% of all the galaxies we can see are beyond this boundary today. Meaning, no matter how hard we try, if there are aliens living in these galaxies, we will never be able to meet them. 60,000 stars pass beyond this horizon every single second. That's nearly 2 million solar systems we can no longer visit since the start of this video. This will continue until we are all alone. The universe as we know it, with all the beautiful galaxies and nebulae, will slowly fade away into darkness, and the astronomers of the future will point their telescopes everywhere, finding the same thing: darkness and silence for the rest of eternity.
Here are horrible things done by very influential people. Everyone knows Steve Jobs for founding Apple, but what most people don't know is the dark side of his personal life. He had an on and off relationship with a woman named Kristen Brennan, and this led to a messy pregnancy and a years-long paternity battle. Steve Jobs refused to help Brennan and their child financially, and she had to go on welfare. Now, eventually, he did help his daughter, but only because Brennan came forward about his behavior in an interview with Time magazine in 1982. Before becoming a popular kids book author, Theodore Seuss Geisel, aka Dr. Seuss, served in the animation department of the United States Army during World War II. He wrote training and propaganda films, and designed posters to get people signed up to join the army. But a lot of his work at the time made the Japanese look really horrible, and this carried on into his earlier books. And Mother Teresa helped provide healthcare to the sick and the poor, but her actions behind the scenes were questionable, to say the least. It's been reported that her care involved these people allegedly going through a forced conversion to Catholicism, which involved children being baptized without their parents' consent. She also allegedly hid the actions of priests who were behaving inappropriately around children, and used charity funds for her own medical care. Yeah, this is not what Jesus would do.
This teacher was caught doing it with an 8th grade student, and apparently it was almost daily. The kid was 13 years old, and now she will serve 10 years in prison. This happened in Texas. The teacher behind me, her name is Alexandria Vera. She's 25 years old, and this 13-year-old got her pregnant. She stated the relationship happened in the Instagram DMs, and his family apparently approved of this relationship. The judge and the school district said that they want their teachers to teach students, not put their hands all over their students. She was originally going to get 30 years in prison, but the judge said, I don't think she's that bad, and gave her 10 years. Apparently this relationship blossomed in 2015 around summertime. The boy kept advancing, she kept denying, but eventually she gave in apparently. Prosecutors said, based on evidence, they did it daily for 9 months straight. And apparently during the entire ordeal, to get away with this, she told her neighbors that the boy was her brother. And now it gets even weirder. She even moved his father in with her so she could pretend she was dating the father when in reality she was the kid. This was kind of a mask. She was also paying for the family's groceries and phone bill. This kid literally had a sugar mama. Now Alexandria Vera has a 6-year-old daughter that even called the 13-year-old kid her dad. What an interesting case. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're from Houston, Texas, did you hear about this case around you guys? As always, these videos are for informational purposes only. Once again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I definitely feel like she should have served life for this. She knew exactly what she was doing, but the court system was pretty lenient on her.
I may get caught right away. Basically, if I get caught, I'm just going to shoot myself. So, I mean, I could basically be dead in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know. There's a chance at this point.
The video you just saw was made by murderer Peter Keller, who in 2012 murdered his wife and daughter before taking his own life. Now, in the lead up to murdering his family, Peter actually made a series of disturbing vlogs. He took a handy cam out with him into the woods and showed him preparing for something. He actually was creating an underground bunker stocked with all sorts of supplies like candy and beans. And during these videos, he talks to the camera very candidly, and it's some really disturbing stuff. The videos offer a glimpse into the mind of a killer who's on edge. He didn't know at the time whether or not he could actually follow through with murdering his wife and daughter, but unfortunately, he did. On April 22nd, 2012, after constructing the bunker in the woods unbeknownst to his family, Peter shot both his wife Lynette and his daughter Kayleen in the face with a silenced weapon before he set his house on fire. He then fled to the underground bunker and was able to evade capture by the police for a whopping 6 days. But once authorities figured out where Peter was, they surrounded the bunker with a SWAT team, and that's when he fired the fatal shot into his own head, taking his own life. In his video recordings, Peter talks about how it'll be exciting to live out in the bunker, and he discusses his fantasy of robbing banks and pharmacies and living on the run. But his run didn't last that long, and he left behind so many questions and a trail of blood and sadness. If you want to hear more stories like this, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
This is the most dangerous man on the entire earth. This guy right here is Mark Detroit, and what he did will genuinely leave you speechless. There's a lot of crazy crime and really disturbing stuff going on in the world at the moment, and this guy apparently was thought to be part of similar rings as well. So this guy's Mark Detroit and his wife Michelle Martin. In the 80s and 90s, he bought many houses in Belgium and would use each one as a separate dungeon, going out into the streets, getting people, bringing them back and doing things that I cannot speak about here, but full videos on my YouTube, go to the link in my bio. Underneath the home, he built a soundproof chamber so no one would hear a damn word, and went on to take many people, putting them under the ground and undergoing the most horrendous things ever. Eventually he was caught for doing R and other things to over 5 young people, and went to jail and got released within 3 years, and going back to do more, but this time, not leave anyone alive. No mother even called the police and said what he was doing. They didn't really do anything. Eventually going round while 2 people were in the basement, and they left. I can't talk about most of it on here, but go to my YouTube link in bio for the full thing.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Sharks are older than the rings of Saturn by hundreds of millions of years. If you were given $10,000 every single day since the pyramids were built, you would only have about 6% of Elon Musk's entire wealth. To give a clear picture of the difference between a million and a million seconds ago was a little over a week ago. A billion seconds ago was the year 1990. Jimmy Carter was the first president to be born in a hospital. Obama was the first president born under the same American flag he served as president under. Harriet Tubman was born in Thomas Jefferson's lifetime and died in Reagan's. There were Greek playwrights who wrote shows nearly 2,000 years before Shakespeare was even alive. Follow for more.
Well, Shakespeare was copy or something?
First says a lot about the type of person that you are. First of all, take a look at this photo right here. If you first of all notice 3 flying birds, that means you're a very adventurous person and are constantly looking for the next big thing. You're very motivated to following your hopes and dreams at any cost. If first of all you notice the face of a woman, this means you crave companionship and love being around people, and also potentially want to actually establish a relationship with someone pretty close to you right now. If you saw the trees first, that means you're a very relaxed and laid back person and you just go with the flow. Next up, take a look at this photo right here. If you saw the trees first, you trust your gut and always follow your own intuition. Not a very trusting person and will always go off what's best for yourself. However, if you saw the tiger first, you're a very open-minded person, but very, very strong-minded as well. Once you set your mind to something, no one's telling you otherwise. This photo right here. You saw the trees first, you could potentially be a little bit narrow-minded. You like being comfortable in one area, which isn't a bad thing, and are just comfortable in one position with your group of people. However, if you saw the skyscrapers, you like to think big, follow your dreams, and like to be completely outside of your comfort zone at all times.
Where'd you guys see Seekers on those pictures, man? I definitely saw the tiger, I saw the trees, and I saw the 3 birds lining up perfectly, so that's the way I have some of those streets. You guys see anything else, man? Because I know everybody's not going to see the same thing. That's an edit. Call out how we see it, man.
Test your phobia. Thalassophobia.
I'm okay. Guess that's the fear of water, right? Deep, dark water. I don't think that affects me very much. I'm cool. Damn. I think you did that, like I said, the fear of water, I don't...
Gruesome facts you didn't know, part 156. This photo, taken by a PetSmart employee in Arizona, shows a freezer overflowing with the bodies of dead animals due to understaffing. Another employee reported that cutting corners has led to hamsters eating their young after giving birth. As a last-ditch effort defense mechanism, the horned lizard can actually shoot blood from its eyes. After the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, looters, scavengers, and even surviving soldiers were taking teeth out of dead soldiers left on the battlefield. They would sort them into sets and then sell them to dentists who would boil them, cut off the roots, and shape them into dentures.
That's insane, bro. Using dead people's teeth as dentures.
Random facts about Australia because I just love y'all that much. The word selfie came from Australia. It was first used by Aussie man Nathan Hope when he posted a picture after he busted his ass while drinking. There's more kangaroos than people. Since kangaroos are the white-tailed deer of down under, it's common to eat kangaroo meat. I've actually had a kangaroo burger, and it was not bad. Y'all are home to the most venomous snake, fish, octopus, spider, which I didn't even bother putting here, one of the few venomous mammals, and the most dangerous bird in the world. That doesn't compare to the most venomous thing of all. Because the most venomous things in the world, the box jellyfish and the irukandji, are from Australia. Somehow, with all the dangerous animals in Australia, the one responsible for the most names on Twitter bios, horses and cows. Y'all are so afraid of spiders and snakes, but a horse is more likely to kick your lights out. But it's not all bad. Y'all do have the happiest animal in the world, the quokka. Fun fact, really happy fact actually, they're not endangered. They're vulnerable, so they're not 100% safe, but they're definitely not going extinct. Which is great because Rottnest gets about $4 million in tourism every year, and the quokka selfie is a big reason why. Australia also has the longest fence in the world at 3,488 miles. Supposed to keep rabbits out, but I guess they forgot rabbits can dig.
I've seen my fair share of cults, and this one
Crazy
is pretty
facts.
weird. This cult calls themselves the Cult of Mother God, and it's run by this woman here, Amy Carlson. She calls herself Mother God, creator of the universe, and she pretty much believed that she was being controlled by the spirit of Robin Williams himself, and not only him, but she could also channel information from other celebrities who weren't alive and even were alive, Donald Trump. But yeah, like Steve Irwin, Carrie Fisher, MJ, with everything in her, she believed that all this advice she was giving people was coming from Robin Williams himself. Her parents claim she was a straight A student, and sometime between 2000 to 2007, she meets a man named White Eagle as she was frequenting a website called lightworkers.org. She's pretty much convinced she's a divine being by this man, and she leaves her husband, her job, and kids, moves to Colorado with this cult. They'd start posting in 2009 and would call themselves the Galactic Foundation of the Light. Amy's health starts declining very badly to where she starts losing weight. She's down to 103 pounds. And this cult believes that Robin Williams is going to come down in a spaceship and pick her up. She can't weigh over 103, and she's going to ascend. Her health continues to decline, and Robin Williamson is nowhere to be found. He doesn't show up in his spaceship. So this group spends about 12 days with her body. I forgot to mention, but she was last seen alive on April 10th of 2021. But yeah, police would eventually break in and find Amy's body, her face covered in glitter, body in a sleeping bag, wrapped in Christmas lights. Kind of like a shrine, they called it.
Man, cults are dangerous, bro. Especially when you meet somebody, man, it just changes your freaking perception of reality.
Most terrifying urban legends from around the world. In 1978, a girl named Catherine went missing after she heard strange noises coming from the woods behind her backyard. Her sister said Catherine heard the voice of their mother calling to her, but something about this voice sounded distorted and wrong. That was one of the first sightings of Siren Head, a tall humanoid creature with unusually long limbs and 2 siren speakers attached to his head with human mouths inside. This allows the Siren Head to play the voices of its victims' families to lure them in. This creature is usually found in rural places and small towns, making it easier to blend into the environment and disguise itself between the trees or as a telephone pole. So remember, next time you hear the voice of a family member coming from an unusual place, don't go investigating. And follow for more stories.
Siren Head, man. That's the first time I'm hearing the lore about that, so I guess we're out at night, especially when she say you're in rural towns or something like that, areas you don't know. If you hear somebody call your name, family member, you never know. Something is trying to play a trick on your mind, man. Trying to lure you out there.
Psychology facts. 91% of people are no longer friends with someone they called their best friend. The person you think before you go to sleep is more likely to appear in your dreams. Unexpected texts from the person you care about can have a positive effect on your body and instantly improve your week.
Really? That makes sense.
These freak-offs, which involved groups of people performing sexual activities with each other, reportedly started in 2009. These parties were described as multi-day events involving heavy drug use, alcohol, and allegedly Diddy used force, threats, and coercion to make victims participate in these events. These substances that were used at these freak-offs were there to keep participants compliant, and basically it got people so intoxicated that they were sometimes taken advantage of. These freak-offs were held in rented hotel rooms and mansions in New York, LA, and Miami. But this is the thing, Diddy was so known and popular back in the early 2000s that everyone you can possibly think of was at his parties that he hosted. There's photos of A-list celebrities such as Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, and J-Lo, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, Ashton Kutcher, Paris Hilton, and the list goes on. Now, were they all necessarily involved in these freak-offs? Not everyone. But it's been said that many of them were participating in these activities and some of them weren't but knew about it. And if they were involved in this back in the day, they don't want people to know now. And after all of this was released to the public, these celebrities have been really quiet and no one wants to speak on it at all.
Now if you want to hear
man, those Diddy freak-offs, man, I know that list, probably A-list celebrities. Speaking not just celebrities, sports players too, NBA players, NFLs. Because like I said, it was popular back in the 2000s. So everybody was at those parties, man. So we don't know who was doing what, man. Maybe some of them were, some of them wasn't. So that's just freaking insane, bro. Those Diddy freak-offs, man. When that whole lore or list gets revealed of who was doing what, some more people gonna be going down, man. I don't think it's just gonna be Diddy. What do you think?
Scary myth. This is one that actually turned out to be true. This was like way back in the day, but there was this infamous funhouse called Laugh in the Dark. Like any other kind of funhouse ride attraction that you would go through, it's supposed to scare you. And the whole thing about it was that it was filled with these creepy mannequins, but there was one mannequin that stuck out to everybody. All this time went by with kids who would go up to this mannequin and something seemed off about it because it was so oddly lifelike. Of course, strange mannequins aside, somebody was going to make a buck off this place. So there was a day when a film crew came in because they were going to shoot a movie. With all these mannequins and everything kind of lying around, they had to move things from one place to another. So the director said, can you pull that mannequin and put it to the side? Wait for the arm of the mannequin to snap off and reveal human bone. The entire time that kids and the public had been suspecting there was something off with that mannequin, they were right. It was a real human body being used in the funhouse.
This is a scary story about Do Not Open. There was an 18-year-old girl named Mia who was in her first year of college. She lived alone in an apartment near her university. One night when she was doing the dishes, she got a call from her friend Pete. She picked it up and he said, I'm bored, I want to hang out. Mia said, yeah, me too, come over. Pete then said he'll be over in 15 to 20 minutes. She then hung up and decided to take a shower. Mia was in the middle of shampooing her hair when she suddenly heard a loud banging on the door. She stuck her head out of the shower and said, come in, it's open. But a few minutes later, the banging on the door started again. She then stuck her head out of the shower again and said, come in, it's not locked. Just then, her phone started to ring, and it was Peter. Mia said, I'm in the shower, why don't you stop knocking and just come in? Peter's voice sounded extremely scared and he said, do not open the door. Mia said, why not? I'm outside your apartment building, whispered Peter. And I just saw a strange woman coming up the stairs to your apartment covered in blood and holding a knife. And she was smiling weirdly and didn't look human at all.
You never know, man, who's lurking. Had the right access to her apartment. His girlfriend, man, warning her, bro.
The same day this guy was released from jail, he went and killed and then decapitated his mother. His name is Alejandro Gonzalez, and this happened in Arizona. The police did arrest the 25-year-old after he killed and decapitated his mother right before her birthday. This happened on September 27th after somebody called 911. When the police got to the scene, they found her decapitated. Her name was Teresa de Jesus Cruz Rubio. She failed to show up to her surprise birthday party. Obviously, her family got really worried and they found her door locked, so they had to call a locksmith to come and open it. It was unfortunate that they opened it and saw a horrible scene. Police found blood and knives everywhere, with the shower and sink still running as if somebody was trying to clean the evidence. Her vehicle was also missing, but surveillance camera footage caught her son driving it. Police found Alejandro Gonzalez the next day on September 28th and took him into custody for questioning. He was covered in blood and had bruises all over his hand. He was also in possession of his mother's stolen vehicle. He even admitted to decapitating and killing her as well. He also claimed someone else was involved, but there's no evidence that points to that right now. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comment section below, guys.
If you're a kid, make sure you shower. This, my friends, is the Skunk Ape. Click the plus, drop a like, tag a friend, or he might find you. It is said that the Skunk Ape gets its name of its absolute disgusting odor, and its attraction to other very smelly odors. On top of that, its appearance resembling a massive ape. It is also said to be roaming around certain parts of Florida, so if you live there, I would definitely be careful. My question to you guys is, do you still not want to shower?
They made a freaking lore, bro, to get people to shower? That's insane.
This is one of the most haunted places I've ever been to, and I won't go in here alone. It's an old abandoned nursing home outside of Waco, Texas. And if you're wondering why it was shut down, it was because an elderly woman was left here in the parking lot in a locked van on a hot day, and she died. Abuse and other crimes against the elderly run rampant at nursing homes, and this place was no stranger to it. I went there for my YouTube channel a couple of years ago, and the video footage that I captured inside is shocking. I found a doll hanging by a noose. I heard the sounds of people inside the building and talking, and it looks like there's someone still there. Would you explore this place with me? Let me know below.
Nah, I stay away from that type of energy. You got it, bro. I don't know how those people do it.
Facts you didn't know about. If your immune system ever discovers that you have eyeballs, it's going to attack them until you go blind. At some point in time, a stranger has thought of killing you. If you're ever exposed to rabies and start to show symptoms, your survival chance is virtually 0%. You should never use bleach to clean up cat pee. The combination creates chlorine gas that is toxic. You are never 100% safe, no matter where you are or how you feel. If the sun exploded right now, you wouldn't know about it for another States.
So because I'm back in like my Halloween thing right now, I was rewatching all of the Texas Chainsaw movies, and I was racking my brain because I'm like, I know this is somewhat based off of a true story. Thinking to myself, I know the movies have been sensationalized, but there's definitely a name behind this. So I did some research. Completely forgot about Ed Gein. This guy was the original inspiration behind Leatherface because of the things he did, and specifically the things he made. There's something like 17 years he was exhuming bodies. He was also making people disappear, if you know what I mean? Creating these morbid and grotesque items, leather items out of their skin. It's kind of eerie to think that his neighbors, people locally, they just didn't know who he was. He was just the isolated man who lived in an old house and stayed to himself. But if you do want more information on this, we're probably going to cover it in a Creep Time podcast.
You never know what somebody's capable of, man. Like I said, he was the guy who stayed to himself. And look what he was capable of, man.
Thanks to Warner Brothers for sponsoring this video. This October, the greatest villain of all time returns to theaters in Joker Folie à Deux. Joker Folie à Deux is a direct sequel to Joker, which is one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. But what made Joker different from the rest is that Joaquin Phoenix didn't just play the Joker, he became the Joker. Phoenix lost over 52 pounds for the role. He isolated himself during the preparation process, and even improvised intense scenes like smashing the clock and his haunting dance scene in the bathroom. Phoenix went through an intense physical and psychological transformation to become the Joker, and it paid off, becoming the first R-rated movie to cross $1 billion at the box office. And luckily, the iconic character is returning to the big screen for Joker Folie à Deux, with Phoenix reprising his role as Arthur Fleck, and Lady Gaga taking on the role of Harley Quinn. This sequel dives even deeper into the mind of Joker and explores more of the dark, grounded Gotham universe that we want to see. And you can grab tickets now for Joker Folie à Deux, which hits theaters October 4th.
The goofiest serial...
Also, I had to stop there. Anybody guys see Joker Folie à Deux, man, we know that I heard it wasn't it, man, that people did not like it, and the ending was that let's just say it was bad. That's what I heard. I don't know. Tell me down below if you guys actually seen it. I would have checked that out.
Serial killer nicknames. This is Cayetano Santos Godinho, the teenage Argentinian serial killer. By the age of 16, he committed 4 murders, 5 arsons, 11 assaults, 1 attempted kidnapping, and the murder of 3 animals. He was also once jailed for chronic self-pleasuring, which was illegal at the time. This monster from Argentina was appropriately nicknamed the Big-Eared Midget.
The Big-Eared Midget? What the type of name is that?
These animals were recently discovered, and the last one is unbelievable. This first one is a wolf monk, and they're highly aggressive, and they eat everything. This is a crowilla. These are super intelligent creatures who swoop down and steal your food, but they write a thank you card after. This is a louse, and these creatures are found all over the world. They wait for you to go to sleep, and they hide under your bed, then they come out and bite your toe. This is a raniwi. These are super fast creatures with the temper of a honey badger. This is a catfin, and these are some of the most dangerous new creatures ever found. They swim through the water fast like torpedoes, but they are known to knock everything off boats. The canny is a much safer option though, although they're kind of messy on both ends, kind of like leaving little landmines everywhere. This is a dogster, and they're one of the safest to be around. And even though that boy thick, they don't eat that much food. The monkola is highly vicious though. They sleep most of the day, but if you wake them up, they throw buckets of poo at you. This is a squinky, and they're to be avoided at all costs. If they see you walking with food, they come and steal your food and then wait. And if you're still there, they eat you next. The chisel is the next white meat. They're said to taste like chicken. And the pingo is a new favorite pet by some people. They are so friendly to the point that they annoy you to where you want to punch them.
Whatever you do not feel bad for this woman. This woman's name is lovely Kristen Antoinette Johnson, and she had a 6-month-old baby. But one more thing is, she was a severe drug addict, and she would often invite friends over to her house or go to her friends' houses to do drugs. And when she would do this, she would just lock her son up in a car seat and leave him inside the house. And she would place him in the attic where she wouldn't be able to hear him. Well, on this particular occasion, the little baby went 4 days without any food and starved to death. Apparently, the baby had diaper rash so severe his skin was literally falling off. When she found the baby, his body was already decomposing, and she still took him to the ER and got arrested there. And she was sentenced to 20 to 80 years in prison for the murder of her baby.
Thanks, man.
People are associated with the mystery and deep silence of its nature and historical monuments.
Okay.
The cemetery of Jinn, what the Balik call Jinn Sant, is one of these secrets. Locals believe that these tombs belong to the Jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the jinn and will surely die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strangest tombstone of the Scary Fairy Cemetery. The strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tombs that is very long and wide. There is a...
Those tombstones. I had to say, nah, they said it was a cemetery, but that was a circular shape, so that really has me raising some questions, man. We've seen a couple of clips, man, talking about jinns, but this one was really breaking it down for us. What do you guys think, Seekers? Should we go down that rabbit hole even more?
Ahriman created the desert spirit demons known as Da'avas to serve as direct opposites to the celestial angels known as the Holy Immortals or Amashaspentus. For example, the demon Druj, who represents falsehood, was created to be the polar opposite of Ashurvanishta, the archangel of truth and righteousness. Several of the Da'avas were once sacred Hindu deities who were brought to Persia and transformed into evil spirits. In fact, the term Da'ava or Deva originated in India as a name that meant shining ones, and it was applied to both gods and demigods. The Da'avas are not necessarily eternal, but they have been around for a long time, spreading disease and misery all over the world. They are also keen on leading mankind astray by encouraging people to worship them, rather than pray to a creator god. The Da'avas are supposed to be kept at bay by living a clean and decent life, and enjoying the blessings of creation. Unfortunately, even the most upright people are vulnerable to Da'ava possession for approximately 9 days after death. Evil people, on the other hand, can be possessed while still alive, and there are several purifying ceremonies and specific prayers that can be used to drive the vile Da'avas away.
Stay away from the Da'avas. They can take you over. The afterlife. There's definitely somebody's grunting, bro. They said a graveyard too? Whoa. Buried alive or something? Coming from hell. Okay, what the hell is that? You hear an echo in the voice now. Is that the opening he's hearing it from? Is he like digging? You see the dirt on his hand? He was definitely digging something. What do you guys think, man? Was that an edit? Or was that legit?
You guys want to know why I'm low-key afraid of Dua Lipa now? So there's actually this Iranian folktale that my dad told me about when she first popped off. It's about this long-legged man named Dua Lipa, which basically translates to long-legged person. So the story goes that Dua Lipa wanted to cross this large river, and so he asks this water troll to help him across. So after some persuading, the troll reluctantly agrees to help Dua Lipa cross the river. and he asks him to hop on his back. But as they're crossing the river, the water depth increases, and the troll asks Duolapa to loosen up his legs so that he can catch his breath. But Duolapa refuses, and they both end up drowning. And apparently, the moral of the story is to not let someone you don't know control your life. I don't know if the Dua Lipa we know and love knows this story, but I think about it every time I hear one of her songs or I see her perform. And as amazing as she is, the Persian fable got me.
Who is Rostam?
Hey man, what she was saying, how her name Dua Lipa was based off that story. And she's a freaking, like, you know, she's a star. And I guess they said the moral of the story was to don't let somebody you know control your life. And that's kind of the main point of freaking stars, man. When that's all you think about when you listen to the music and things of that nature. So there was definitely some similarities between those two stories, man. These freaking pop stars and movie stars actors, bro. Now we got folklore based off their names now. What's next?
Rostam is a legendary Persian hero known for his great size and strength. He wore a panther skin, wielded a club, and is known for his 7 labors, prompting many to compare him to the Greek hero Hercules.
Okay.
Jinn.
Somebody like Hercules?
Jinns have no physical body of their own, and are creatures from an unseen dimension realm. Jinns can be both benevolent or malevolent. Jinns have the ability to predict the future, can read people's thoughts, have extraordinary strength.
I told you, bro. We keep learning about jinns. We keep seeing jinns throughout these clips. We're gonna have to do a deep dive into them one day, man. So they can be either good or bad now. Some new information we picked up. Well, you know, man, tap in with us.
A serial killer in 3, 2, 1. He has killed another girl, a 15-year-old girl. I don't mean to be rude, but his face looks like a piece of shit. His disgusting face is printed on the second page of all school textbooks. Doesn't this sound like a cult? Why should a 7-year-old kid see the face of a murderer every single day at school? Students have been drawing on his disgusting face for years now, because we hate him. Another good and accurate drawing. Students have been tearing up his photos like this. This girl was among the many who did that. But the Islamic Republic security forces raided the school and checked to see if they still have that murderer's photo in their books. And she didn't. So they beat her up so bad that she passed away.
What? All because they didn't have him in the book?
Did you know that Black Friday actually means something very different in Iran? Bringing up those words evokes memories of the Black Friday Massacre, which occurred on September 8, 1978. The Black Friday Massacre resulted in the deaths of reportedly up to 3,000 people.
Damn.
And it was a pivotal point in the Iranian Revolution. Basically, this is a very complex subject to talk about, but at the time, people in Iran were fed up with the governing body, the Pahlavi dynasty, and they wanted the governing body of Iran to be replaced by an Islamic republic. That summer, protests had been erupting all over Iran. People were really fed up with what had been happening. There were all these weird events that were occurring, like a movie theater fire that killed over 400 people that people thought was linked to the Iranian government. And on that day, September 8th, 1978, thousands gathered in a public square in Tehran, Iran, to protest the government. But what they didn't know was that the government had enacted martial law just days before. So at some point during this massive protest, government officials started opening fire and massacring people by the dozens. Now, while some people claim that only 90 or so people died during this event, various other news sources, chronicles, people that were there claim that over 3,000 people were slaughtered on that day. And although this was an extremely tragic event that is still remembered in Iran to this day, this led to the overthrow of the government. So even though the Iranian government at the time that day tried to squash the rebellion by opening fire on these protesters, that totally turned around against them, and once again it led to the fall of the government.
Hey man, and what the freaking Black Friday was associated with that tragedy, man. And over here Black Friday means, people they be going crazy and they be shopping, and how it how sometimes it ends up really bad, man. I wonder, is that what the name originated from?
In 1979, 66 American hostages were taken in Iran. 14 would be released, but 52 would be stuck in Iran for 444 days. The hostages were released on the day that Ronald Reagan replaced Jimmy Carter as the US president. Were they released because Ronald Reagan was a serious guy, or because Jimmy Carter negotiated the right way? 172 days after people were taken in Iran, Jimmy Carter ordered a military mission to rescue the hostages. The mission failed though because 3 US helicopters failed and another crashed into a plane. Jimmy Carter continued to negotiate with the leader of Iran, but he would not let hostages go. Finally, 443 days after the US hostages were taken, the United States agreed to give Iran a whole lot of money and clear its criminal record in exchange for all 52 of the captured Americans. That's pretty quirky, but some people don't believe that story. Why? I'll answer that in part 2.
We've seen it happen before, actually, this year, about
There is a
prison
silent
transfers.
and mysterious cemetery in the southeastern part of Iran in the village of Tis, an ancient village at least 2,300 years old. In the beliefs of the Baloch people, the jinns are associated with mystery and the deep silence of this cemetery and historical monuments. The cemetery of Jinn, what the Baloch call Jinsen, is one of these secrets. Locals believe that these tombs belong to the Jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the Jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the Jinn and will shortly die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tubes that is very long and wide.
We've seen that in the first clip, man, but I was breaking it down even more.
The sky is telling us something.
What the hell? It's split. That's a weird ass phenomenon, Seekers. The sky was really, the clouds was really like split. What the hell, man? Hey, these clips, bro, breaking my mind sometimes. Whew.
Iranian salt mummies. In the Cherabat salt mine in Iran, several ancient mummies have been uncovered, and they're honestly among the most horrifying mummies in the world, not only because of their appearance, but also because of their tragic backstories. In 1993, the first salt mummy was discovered by workers in the local salt mine. The mummy had a long white beard, iron knives, and a single gold earring. Experts believe the mummy dates to 300 AD. Several years later, in 2004, another mummy was discovered, and it was followed by the discovery of another mummy a year later. The sixth salt mummy was discovered recently, and the preservation of the mummy's body is astounding. His hair, bones, and internal organs remained intact. This is thanks to the high salinity of the cave. In fact, one of the salt men was so incredibly well preserved that his boots even remained intact, so much so that scientists could still see his toes through radiographic imaging. Upon examining the boots, they discovered the toes of the man curled tightly towards the tip, suggesting he was wearing uncomfortable footwear while working. Scientists believe that the salt men discovered in the caves were obtaining salt when they became trapped in the cavern. After all, many of the mummies discovered showed signs of trauma, indicating that the salt men were crushed inside the cave. It's highly likely that all of them were miners who met their untimely deaths while working inside the mines. Number 8. The Cannibals of the Goff's Cave. In 2011, a macabre collection was discovered at Goff's Cave in Cheddar Gorge, southwest England. Archaeologists stumbled upon a cave that was most likely inhabited by cannibals around 14,000 years ago, after the last ice age. Several bones were discovered in the area, many showing signs of butchery. It was clear that the victims were butchered by fellow humans in order to be eaten. When they were dead, their bones were cleaned and carved into cups. Quite gruesome, huh? Number 7.
Whoa.
Crystal Sepulchre Cave. In a cave in the Taper Mountain Nature Reserve are several skeletons. Many of them are lying with their limbs spread, befitting their tragic fates. The skeletons belong to people who were sacrificed by the Maya in order to appease their gods more than 1,000 years ago. The youngest of the skeletons belonged to a 1-year-old child, and the oldest was around 45 years old. Almost all of the victims inside the cave died of blunt force trauma, indicating that many of them didn't lead happy lives. Number 6.
Man.
Lost Girl. Imagine you're exploring a cave, and you suddenly hear what you think is the sound of a young girl crying. You try to find the source of the sound, and after looking around, you do see a young girl crying all alone in the middle of the cave. That's precisely what happened when an explorer named Josh ventured into the Ape Cave in Mount St. Helens in the United States. They were far inside the cave when they began hearing the sound of a child crying. One decided to take a step back and turn around, but curiosity got the best of them. Luckily, they decided to walk deeper inside. As they walked further into the cave, and as the entrance became narrower, the crying noise became louder. They found a young girl in the middle of the cave who didn't speak English. Fortunately, they coaxed the girl into following them outside the cave, where her parents frantically looked for her. Number 5.
Yeah, heroes.
Moaning Cavern. The Moaning Cavern in Vallecito, California is arguably one of the scariest caves in the world. Not because of its daunting terrain, but because of the ghosts that allegedly haunt the area. The Moaning Cavern is popular for various activities in the area, from ziplining and gem digging to spelunking. What's more, the caverns are also famous because of the many artifacts discovered in the area. In the 1840s, gold miners discovered the Moaning Caverns, and inside, they stumbled upon arrowheads and other artifacts, including a necklace that's about 8,000 years old. Human bones were also discovered in the area. Now you're probably wondering how the cave obtained its name in the first place.
Yeah.
You see, when the first visitors of the cave stepped foot in the area, they kept hearing wailing and moaning sounds, although we now know the unnerving sounds were caused by the wind. Number 4. The Haunted Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is the most extensively known cave system in the world. Many people from all around the world visit Mammoth Cave National Park. However, aside from its natural beauty, it's also well known for paranormal activity. There are more than 150 documented paranormal events around the cave. Not only are the numbers significant, but the witnesses are also credible people, even researchers and scientists. Certainly, scientists have no reason to lie about seeing a ghost. Right? For this reason, the Mammoth Cave is also known as the most haunted natural wonder in the world. In 1839, the cave was purchased by Dr. John Kerrigan for $10,000. For that price, the cave also came with several enslaved people, including a cave guide named Stephen Bishop. Many were delighted by the tours offered by Stephen, but Kerrigan had a different plan. For some strange reason, he wanted to convert the cave into a hospital. The doctor built 11 huts inside the cavern, and initially 15 patients were transferred to the cavern. It was the beginning of a disaster. Shortly after, the condition of the patients worsened, and Dr. Kerrigan himself died of tuberculosis. Many of the slave guides died years later. People believe that to this day, they still return to the cave as spirits to see how things are. One of the new guides claimed to have seen a family of African Americans in a group he was guiding once. However, after finishing the tour, the family mysteriously disappeared. There was also no record of the family taking the cave tour. If you want to get spooked, there are countless stories on the internet about the Mammoth Cave.
All those freaky caves. The one at the end, man, you try to build a hospital and put it in a cave? That was not a great idea. At all, Seekers, I'm sorry. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you guys are seeking the truth, man. Truly, I really appreciate the support. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. Hit that like button, man. Like I said, I saw a comment yesterday that really just said, don't give up. Trust me, I won't, man. We're going to post every single day, man. Like I said, the schedule might switch up over these past couple of days, but you guys just know, man. If you guys hit that subscribe button, man, thank you guys for joining me on my journey. We're going to take off and explode in this algorithm, man. I truly believe that. You guys going to catch it in the next one, man. Tell me, guys, down below what you guys think of this video. Did you guys see anything that freaked you out, spooked you out? Put it down below. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.